In April 1st, 2003, Bernie Burns, Gus Sorolla, and Geoff Ramsey... Geoff? Wait, is it Jeff or Geoff? Hold on.
Jeff.
Why is there an O? Released the first episode of their new web series. That web series is what we know today as Red vs. Blue. For all of you that don't know what Red vs. Blue is, well, Google it. Back when Red vs. Blue was released, YouTube didn't even exist, so people could only watch videos by downloading them. The series attracted attention immediately, with the first episode reaching 20,000 downloads within the first day of release. By April 2014, the Wall Street Journal, yes, the same retards who accused PewDiePie of being an anti-Semite, estimated that the weekly viewership was between 650,000 and 1 million. This made Red vs. Blue the first machinima web series to reach an audience beyond the machinima demographic. While still remaining fairly popular to this day, many people say that the newer seasons don't compare to the originals, but no one has really explained why. So in this video, I'll be explaining why modern Red vs. Blue, while still managing to maintain a lot of its quality, has lost some of its spark. I can't definitively say when Red vs. Blue was in its prime. I personally think it was before they brought animation into it. I wasn't one of those people that watched Red vs. Blue as a kid. I actually didn't start watching it until a few years ago on YouTube. And yet, despite all these years of it being around, after watching Red vs. Blue for the first time, I saw that its comedic value hadn't aged one bit. During the Blood Gulch Chronicles, the entire thing was focused purely on comedy. Sure, there were a few storyline elements here and there, but there was no doubt that the only thing that kept the series going was the comedy and nothing else. Beyond the Blood Gulch Chronicles, Rooster Teeth started to warm towards making it a mix between action and comedy, but the comedy was still significantly dominant, and by that point, the humour had improved. And up until 2010, the later series managed to remain as good, if not better, than the Blood Gulch Chronicles. In 2010, Rooster Teeth hired Monty to animate for Red vs. Blue, an animator who became popular from a video called Master Chief vs. Samus.
Samus.
Be quiet, woman!
Monty remained an animator of Red vs. Blue and became the creator of a popular anime called Ruby up until he sadly passed away in February 1st, 2015 at age 33. And make no mistake, I don't plan to lessen what he managed to achieve with Red vs. Blue. The animations on their own are almost perfect and aren't the reason the series had lost some of its quality. It's the direction in what Rooster Teeth chose to do with those animations that caused this. For me, there are three big reasons as to why Red vs. Blue isn't as good as it used to be. The first reason is because it was from this point onwards that Rooster Teeth tried to lean more towards the action genre, and lessen the comedic part of it. By this point, Red vs. Blue was no longer a comedy. It was an action comedy. As always, the comedy worked well. The action part of it, however, would have worked had it not been for the show's past. With the show previously being a full-on comedy, it is hard to take any of the action seriously. Before, you would see a bunch of idiots managing to survive their way through ridiculous challenges that would have never realistically been achieved, but you didn't mind that because it wasn't taking itself seriously. But now that it is trying to be serious, you look at the action and don't feel any sense of danger. The second reason portrays a similar result to the first one. After going through all the seasons, I've noticed that Rooster Teeth don't seem willing to take any risks. Since season 1, with the exception of Church, name one character from Red or Blue Team that has been killed. Oh, I know. Sister. She was killed by Lopez. Oh wait, it was revealed by the end of season 13 that she was still alive and that Lopez only knocked her out. Wasn't Donut killed at some point? Nope. Turned out his armor was just locked and Doc managed to save his life. Since season 1 of Red vs. Blue, the only person that was on the Red or Blue Team that ended up dead was Church. And he's still on the damn show. What I'm about to tell you now is a spoiler for episode 5 of the latest season. So if you don't want to have it spoiled, leave now. So basically, at the end of season 13, Church supposedly uses up the last fragment of himself to save his friends. And that made people think that they would never see Church again. And I almost started to believe it as well. up until the end of the latest episode of Season 15, as we find Church sending a deteriorating message to the Reds and Blues, meaning that a part of him is still out there. When I saw this scene, I wanted to repeatedly bash my head against the wall. It is from this point that I knew that no matter what happened, Rooster Teeth would never kill off any of their main cast, meaning you don't feel any sort of danger for these characters because you know that no matter how bad things get, they will all end up fine. The only people that end up dying turn out to be people that you only got to know for at best 1 or 2 seasons. No one that you will get invested in or care about. Imagine watching Game of Thrones, but you end up noticing that they don't kill off any of the original characters, but only end up killing characters that you only see for 1 or 2 seasons. It would be extremely boring to watch knowing that the characters you love will end up fine no matter what. But the final reason why the action part of Red vs Blue, in my opinion, doesn't work, is because of the choices of how the fight scenes are animated. Again, the animations on their own are brilliant, and Monty couldn't have done a better job on them than he already has. The fight scenes are shot beautifully and animated really well. The problem with this is that the fight scenes are trying to be at their best every single time. There is no build up to an awesome final fight. The fight scenes are instantly action-packed right off the bat. When I saw the first animation of Red vs Blue, my mind was blown at how awesome it looked, but not a single animation beyond that managed to excite me more since that first time, because it all looked exactly the same. Imagine in Halo 5, before the epic boss battle against 3 Warden Eternals, you had to individually take on 4 of them beforehand. Oh wait. With every single one of the fight scenes looking really cool in Red vs Blue, it lessens the impact of the final fight. You aren't able to distinguish whether the fight is important or not, because they all look the same. It doesn't look as epic as Rooster Teeth wants it to look, as you've already seen it all before. With the combination of all these things, Red vs Blue has lost a fairly big chunk of its quality. The comedic value is still there, and the newer seasons are still definitely worth watching. But the action part of it just does not work, at least not for me. So do I consider Red vs Blue as a shadow of its former self? No, I don't. Because the show is still high in quality and has managed to retain itself for the most part after all these years. It is just no longer in its prime. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the first video that I've put a lot of effort into for a long time. If you enjoyed, please leave a like down below and share it to your friends as it would really help me out. If you want to interact with me, then please follow me on Twitter as I post on there fairly actively. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and peace out.